Lauren from A Girl and Her Wool here. So it's Tuesday and it's a Dye With Me Tuesday. So welcome back to another Dye With Me vlog where we dye up some yarn together and just kind of talk about what happened, what we like, what we don't like, the techniques we're using and all of that fun stuff. So if you are excited about the Dye With Me vlogs, make sure you subscribe to my channel because they come out regularly every other Tuesday and I love having you all be a part of them. So today's topic is going to be something different, something I had never done before and something that we haven't done here on these Dye With Me vlogs before. So I took 8 skeins and I put them in one pan. So I normally do not dye so many skeins in one batch, but that is what we did. I put 8 skeins in, and I'll talk about this like when we go to the dye pot so you see it, but instead of having, you know, I don't have 8 lined up vertically, I have them all kind of piled up. And so what I did was I then dyed a gradient across the pan. So they all came out different. All 8 skeins are unique, one of a kinds, and create this really cool gradient set. So we will head to the dye pans in a minute and dye that up. You guys will see what we did. We did a little bit more than what I just kind of described, but that is the general idea. And I think it came out really cool and really fun. I'm excited for you guys to see the skeins at the end. So I want to go through a couple of announcements here first, and then we'll head to the dye pans, we'll dye up these skeins, and then come back because we will, you know, like I said, talk about them and what we like about them, what we don't like about them, you know, how did the technique work and all of that fun stuff. So first, a couple of announcements that I just want to make is that I am doing an ongoing Instagram giveaway type of thing where if you use hashtag agirlandherwool and hashtag AGAHWbirthday, you will be entered to win a $30 gift card to my shop at agirlandherwool.com. So this is just like an ongoing celebration. I'll announce the winner in early July here on YouTube, so make sure you look out for that. But it is an Instagram contest, meaning that you have to use the post on Instagram to enter. You can post anything you want. It could be you watching this vlog right now. If you have yarn in your stash, you can show it. You can show a project you're working on, a project you've made, anything you want. Just make sure the post is, you know, a girl and her wool appropriate and or representative of a girl and her wool, and then, you know, use those hashtags and I will pick the winner at the beginning of July. So that is a fun thing going on. I'm also currently doing some flash sales, so I don't know when this goes live if there is currently a flash sale going, but definitely keep an eye on my Instagram stories at A Girl and Her Wool. That is where I make those announcements, so you can check it out there. And I think I also said I would put it in my shop news, so I'll have it updated there if there is one going on. And then the last thing is, or two kind of related last things. So one is that the June Yarn Club subscriptions renew on Thursday, this Thursday, May 20th. So if you haven't signed up for the Mystery Yarn Club, you need to do so by the end of Thursday to partake in the June Club, which will ship sometime next week. And then for these vlogs, the only way to purchase the yarn you see in this vlog today is through the Dye With Me Club, which is an ongoing club subscription that you can cancel at any time. And every single month you get a skein from a previously aired vlog. So all the skeins that you see today will go out to people signed up as of June 1st. So if you haven't signed up yet and you've been wanting to, now is the time to do so. This is the last vlog of the month for the Dye With Me. This is the last Dye With Me vlog for the month, meaning that now the skeins are kind of dyed up, so the spots in the club are limited. So I have, as of when I am filming this, I have 1 spot open left if you want to catch on the June 1st renewals. Subscriptions or spots will then reopen on June 2nd moving forward. But just also keep in mind that when I open them back up on June 2nd, the price is going to be going up. So If you have an active subscription, your price won't change. And so any new subscriptions starting on June 2nd or later will be at the higher price. So if you want to get the last spot at the current rate, now is the time to do so. For those in the club, just a reminder that you can email me with your preference for what you want to receive, and at the end of this vlog I will go through and show you guys everything that's up for grabs this month. So without further ado, let's get into it. Let's head to the dye pans and get these skeins dyed up and look at how fun of a gradient we came up with. Okay, so again, you see the filled pan here. I think I mentioned this earlier, but I have 8 skeins in here, so they're all piled up in mounds. So you see the kind of the 4 across the top and 4 across the bottom. So what I'm doing with the gradient, and you see me starting to kind of dye it here, is that I'm going diagonally across. So again, trying to not have similar skeins, so all 8 will look pretty different. It does look like this first color almost is like pink. It's definitely a brown. I think it's just how the lighting is. I filmed this at night, which you guys will hear more about in my next day in the life, but that's definitely a brown, but we do move into pinks and rosy colors. So I'm going to kind of let the dyeing happen, and I will pop back in for a little bit, but you'll see kind of this first gradient layer that we apply across all the skeins. Okay, so this is our first gradient here. You see it, and now you can kind of see it's a little bit more brown on the top left, and then it goes into like a bit of a brownish pink, and then into a purple, and then at the very end I made it like a really dark purple and brown. So that's kind of like the first gradient we have here. One thing I want to keep in mind, and you'll kind of see as we move this around, is that there's a lot of yarn underneath, and so even though I applied this yarn on the top, they're not fully saturated skeins. You'll see even in those dark skeins there's a lot of light, and so the gradient isn't like set up at this point to make a gradient fade set. It just is like a layer of a fade across the top. So what I mean by that is that you know, some of these skeins have the light brown on them, some of the skeins have the like rosy pink on them, and some of them have purple on them. But if I were to lay these skeins out right now, it's not like I have a purple skein and a pink skein and that kind of thing. So, and you kind of see that now as I start to flip the skeins around. There's still a lot of white, and it kind of just got applied randomly. So I'm moving it around, and we're gonna do a second gradient across the top with completely different colors. And I actually end up starting with the lighter color on the right side. So where there's the darkest purple, that will get the lightest color in the next gradient. For this one, I start with a very light gray in the bottom right corner, and kind of again try and go diagonally. The angle was a little bit weird for me, but then get it into a darker and darker gray. And so again, where that like dark purple was, now has the lightest part. The other colors that we're going to add in here that you'll see in a little bit are a bright blue, and I'm going to like overlay these a little bit, but a light bright blue into a really dark blue. actually decided to do a third one. So as I started moving them around, I noticed there was still a lot of white, wanted to have more color. So I ended up doing this again. And with this one, I decided to not change the tones too much, but just kind of like fade between colors. So I start with kind of this brighter yellow, go into a more golden yellow, into some orange, and then into some kind of like deep rust color, which is just really pretty. And again, it's just totally different gradient. I think all 3 gradients that we did were so different, but you'll kind of see how they all blend together really nicely at the end here. Okay, welcome back. So definitely a fun way to dye. I had the idea of what I was going to do, like I was going to just like put them in the pan and dye across the board, but I didn't know that I was going to like move them around and then do a new gradient and move it around and do a new gradient. I really had no idea what I was going to do, and I think it came out really cool. I'll put in a picture here of the overall 8 skeins lined up. I lined them up from what I believe is what you guys kind of saw, from left to right, kind of give or take. It's probably not perfect, especially because I did the gradients kind of on a diagonal, so it kind of is a little bit weird, but you get an overall gradient, which is pretty cool. And what I like about this, and you guys will see this more at the end, is that I think it's really fun way to just like play with color and see new colorways. And so I'm going to show you guys some that I want to turn into regular colorways. Okay, so I can't hold up all of them together, so I'm going to hold them up one by one and maybe hold up like a few in a row. But again, I'll have like the pictures up throughout this as well. Okay, so kind of starting with what would have been like the left skein for you guys. I believe, again, give or take, this is what I believe it was. So this is kind of skein number 1 from it. So you get kind of this really rustic feel with the browns and then the darker blues and the really like muted rusty orange colors. And this is one that I definitely would want to turn into a colorway. It's kind of like I don't know, washed out Old Navy, like denim, and like one of their like Old Navy washed out t-shirts. I don't know why I'm thinking about it that way, but I am. So for this one, so as kind of a reminder, when we started on the left side, the first gradient we did started with a really light brown, like a light cream brown, and then we faded it into like a mauvey, like rose color, and then we went into like more of a deeper rosy purple. So this one would have been hit on that round with kind of that light brown. The second pass through we did, starting on the other side, we started with like a light gray into a darker gray, and then we moved into that bright blue, and then we moved into like a really dark blue, which is what we see here. So we see that really dark blue in here. You do get bits of the bright blue as well. So I kind of tried to overlap them a little bit. You guys saw that in the vlog. So that was fun. And then the third pass through, I kind of tried to not do it as like a tonal gradient. I tried to do the same tone, but then just change colors. So it started with the brighter yellow into a more orangey yellow into more of like a pinky orange, and then more of like this rusty color, which is what we see here. So we get kind of that darker rusty color. So a really pretty colorway. So then kind of going into the second one, it's pretty similar, but a little bit brighter. So there's less of the brown, which then makes me wonder if really this one should have been on the end, but kind of putting them next to each other. This one, so this is the one I showed you guys, and this one, yeah, that's probably right. This one probably, but it has so much of the brighter blue. This is where I don't actually know the order. Anyway, this one has a lot of like the dark rusty color, but it also has brighter orange. It has a little bit of the brighter blue, and then some of the darker blue. And so less of like the brown as well. These were probably next to each other on the left, and one just got hit on the diagonal with some of the darker colors than the other. So Really pretty colors together. Again, I really like this one. I think between the two, in terms of like a regular colorway, I would do the darker one. But I really love like all the different tones in this one. I just, from a repeatable standpoint, I think this one will be easier to repeat. So there's those. And then moving into the next one, so I'll always hold up like the previous one, I think. So this one has a lot more of the brighter blues and then a little bit of the yellows. So still a little bit of the brown from the first pass through, and it kind of gets into the pinks a little bit. I don't know how well you'll see the subtleties, but we're kind of getting into like the second round of colors and then more of the blues. So that's the third one, and it has like golden sections from the third pass. So this is like a really pretty oceany kind of color too. So then in this one we start to bring in more of like those rosy colors. So you kind of see, instead of the brown base, we get kind of more of the pink base, but then still some of the golds, some of the brighter blues. So you can kind of start to see like the pinks and purples play off of some of the other colors. I'm sure some of these subtleties won't show up. So again, these are very similar. They were probably right next to each other, but this one got more of the blue and this one started to show more of the pink. Moving into the next one, we start to have less of the blue and then more of the pinks and purples. This is another one that I would definitely want to turn into a regular colorway. Let me try to slow pan it here, but you can kind of see all of the different colors in there, and it's just so pretty. So you get some of the dark purple, some of that brighter blue, but not like in your face. It's just a little pop, and then even in here, it just starts to blend, so you almost get like a little bit of a green. It's just, the whole color is so rainbowy and pretty, but it all goes together into like one cohesive look, which I really like. So this one was probably in the middle, and it got like a little bit of everything. And so I just think that there are a lot of colors that probably I wouldn't have normally done together, especially doing that bright blue. It just really toned down a lot by just doing like a little bit of it, so it gives you a little pop of blue, but nothing crazy. But I really love like the purple and rose together as well. So those are those. And then this one is similar. Like I could see if I wanted to make this into a colorway, this could definitely be a skein from like a different batch of the same colorway. So you just kind of get a little bit more of that yellow in the skein, but you still get the pinks and the purples. Again, I think these were probably right in the middle. This one got a little bit more of the blue, this one got a little bit more of the pink, and that's like totally normal. So I think from like a colorway, these two really could be the same colorway and just be from different parts of the pan. So also really pretty. So I definitely think this needs to become a colorway. Let me know what you think. Okay, so then it starts to move like more into the purples. So in this one we definitely get more of the purple, less brown, and not so much gray either. Like this one was probably in the corner and maybe didn't get hit by as much gray. So it's really like a purple and pink and white skein with just like that little bit of the gold, which is really, really pretty as well. And then the last one, oops, this is the last one. So the most dark purple with the bits of pink, a little bit of yellow, barely any blue, but a little bit of that, and then like kind of that gray overtone to it. So I'll try and hold up more at once so you can kind of see. So this is kind of the left side with the blues and the rust colors, getting into the brighter blues. And then we went into more of the pinks and the purples, less blue. And then more into the purples and of course even less blues and browns. So overall, just like a really fun way to create a new gradient. This is not how I normally do my gradient dyeing, of course. I could probably not conceive getting like a consistent gradient doing it that way. Like, I don't necessarily recommend doing this as like a repeatable gradient style of dyeing, but it definitely was a fun way to see how the different colors interacted, especially doing it with the, you know, one gradient, then flipping it over, doing another gradient, flipping it over. A couple of other things I want to talk about in terms of the technique. So one, I had them piled in kind of mounds. You guys see me do that a lot. That's just how I like to dye, to kind of make things a little bit more random. I've talked about it before, but when you line them straight up, you get kind of more pooling, which is good if that's what you're going for. But I like to make my skeins look more like overall pretty similar, and then just have like the variations kind of randomly fall. And I find that by making the mounds, that's how I do that. And so I had the water level pretty high, so changing the water level just changes like how the dye will move around the skeins. And so by having most of the yarn underwater, it led to you know, it wouldn't pile the colors on top. So if you think about like this skein, we kind of get the different shades of the blue throughout. So I probably poured the bottle here, but it's spread throughout around it to give it kind of like all different blues. So I did that. I did not speckle at all. This was all like, you know, with my dye spray that I made beforehand, and that was to help me kind of like blend colors up. I also, because the pan was so full of yarn, it meant that a lot of the skeins did not become like overly muddied or overly saturated. So from a perspective of the muddying, so if you guys were thinking throughout it, oh my gosh, she's doing so many different colors, this is just going to become like brown mush. The way that I did it, by having it kind of like in those mounds, like all packed in, is there's so much yarn underneath. Like if you think about how much yarn is sitting on top versus how much is underneath, there's so much more underneath than there is on top. So looking at like this very still light purple skein, I applied that really dark purple and it blended, right? We get the light purple sections, but there was so much of the skein not showing, and because it was so packed in, like the dye didn't have room to like move around. So that was how we kind of like were able to keep the colors all separate. So that was one kind of thing that I was going for there. And when I talked about at the beginning, I wasn't sure like how many different layers I was going to do. But when I started moving the skeins around and realizing how much white was still there, I knew that I could do it. Something else that I was expecting more white to come out. So like these skeins that had a lot of the brown applied to it, I expected there to be more white. Like I expected a lot of the skeins to look more like this, and I'm surprised that they don't. So that's kind of something interesting. Like the dye did move around more than I thought it was going to. And then overall, it was just, again, it was a good way to just see how all of these different colors play together. It's nice, like as a dyer, to have regular colorways that I can dye all the time, but then just kind of going for it and doing things that I'm not normally doing is just a good way to find new colorways. And I definitely, you know, feel like I did. So I would love to create this as a regular colorway and something like this as a regular colorway. And so yeah, keep an eye out for that. So that will do it, I think, for the dye with me session that we did. If you have any questions about what we talked about, definitely let me know, because I'm always happy to do like additional similar dye with me's and like change something up about it. So if you want to see me do something like this again, I can definitely do that. Okay, so now I just wanted to remind you guys what we have available for those in the Dye With Me Club. If you haven't checked out the vlog from 2 weeks ago, definitely go back and do it. It was a lot of fun. What I did was I pre-dyed skeins in really bright, like all different kinds of colors, and then we applied the same dye over it, and it kind of created really cool similar sets, and it just had a really cool effect. So if you haven't checked it out, definitely go check that one out. I think people really liked that one, and so if you missed it, it's a good one to go and see. So for the June 1st Dye With Me Club renewals, all the skeins will come from either today's vlog, so all the skeins I just held out, plus the ones from that one I just mentioned. So I'm just going to hold them up really quickly. I did have a bunch of people reach out after the last vlog, so some of these might actually be spoken for already. Again, the requests are on a first come first serve basis, and so you can put in your request for whatever you want. That way if someone like drops out or changes their mind, I have it lined up. And then just when you email me at agirlandherwool@gmail.com and put dye with me in the subject line. It just helps me find these emails. So I'm going to show you guys what's available, and keep in mind that there is, as of when I'm filming this, there's one spot left. So if it's showing as out of stock, if the club is showing as out of stock on my website, it will reopen on June 2nd. So keep an eye out for that, but there should be one more in stock. Okay, so showing you guys again what we dyed up last month. So starting with what I did with like the browns and neutrals. Again, if you haven't seen the vlog, go check it out. But I have the dark blue with the neutrals, so just reference it this way. This is on DK. The yellow with the browns and neutrals, that's on sock. The bright blue with the browns on DK. The neutral with, you know, it was like the white base with the browns and neutrals, that's on sock. The red with browns on sock, and the light pink with browns on DK. And I still have to reskein all of these. And then we have all the same kind of bases, but with the blues that we applied on top. So the light pink, the bright pink, the dark blue, the bright blue, the yellow, and that skein turned very green, and then the white base. And these are all on sock except for the dark blue one, that's on DK. So here are those. And then again, the 8 skeins that I kind of held up today. So you can reference them kind of in the order that I talked through them. So 1 being that one, 2, 3, 4. And then kind of the more pink and purple side of things. These are mostly all on DK. This dark, or they're mostly on sock. This darkest one is on DK. Skeins 3 and 4 were on DK. Okay, so that will do it with today's vlog. Again, if you haven't checked out the Dye With Me from 2 weeks ago, definitely recommend checking that out. I also revealed the May club colorways on Friday, so if you want to go check that one out before signing up for the club on Thursday, you can do so. And then I'm in the midst of filming a day in the life, and so that will air on Friday. So I hope you guys have a great week. Let me know what you think of today's Dye With Me, and anything you want to see in future Dye With Me vlogs. I would certainly love to hear it. So have a great Tuesday, have a great week, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.